Welcome everyone. This video is just going to be an introduction to navigating around Photoshop. We're going to combine these three images, okay, all into this lovely little collage here. We're going to move them around. We're going to resize them. We're going to practice zooming in and out and navigating. No, not super exciting, but super fundamental. Let's get into it now in Photoshop. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a bunch of files. So let's go to File and go to Open. And what I'd like you to do is in your exercise files, there is a folder called O1 layers. Double click that. Inside of there, we want navigation, and we want navigation 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are the images we're going to combine. Now you can open them individually by selecting them, clicking open, but that can get a bit tedious. So what we're going to do is click this first one at the top here, okay, and then hold down Shift on my keyboard, okay, and click the last one, and it should highlight them all. Or open them up individually, whatever works. Let's click open. All right, so in Photoshop, when you've got more than one document open, they transfers them into these tabs along the top here. So click on the tabs, just get used to it. Okay, so those are all the images that I've got open, 4 of them. And what I'd like to do is combine them all into this first image here. So we're gonna start with navigation 2. That's the one that I want to move into this navigation 1 document. Now there are lots of ways of kind of copying images into files and moving them around. But I'm going to show you the way that I guess it's just kind of future bulletproof. It just works with later on when we get into slightly more complicated things like layer masks and adjustment layers. This technique is still going to work. And the technique is pretty simple. Okay, use the move tool, okay, which is the first tool in your toolbar here. And all you do is click, hold, drag your mouse, clicking, dragging. Okay, drag. Hover above this tab for like a second, and then it switches. I've still got my mouse down, still holding, let go. Okay, it's a bit weird. I know, I promise. Okay, I totally understand. So let's give it another practice though. Let's go to navigation 3. Same thing. Okay, I'm gonna get my move tool, click, hold, drag. I'm holding my mouse down, holding my left mouse key down, holding, hovering above the tab, and then letting go. That is the technique. It's kind of weird, but yeah, it's going to prove future-proof later on. Let's go to the last one here. Click, hold, drag, hold, let go. Okay, we've got a slight problem with this one's a different size. Now I've resized these first ones just to make life easy, and they fit in here perfectly. But more often than not, you're going to be kind of combining images, and they're going to be really different sizes. Sometimes they could be really big. Okay, if you've taken them on a, quite a high-end digital camera, that can be really, really big. So that's going to bring us into some more of the navigation things we need to learn throughout this course. Okay, I'm going to pile them all into here. Don't worry if you're like, oh man, these shortcuts, there's too many. We're going to kind of reiterate these all the way through the course, and you'll find that the ones we cover right now in this video are going to be the ones that you use forever in Photoshop. At least the ones you use the most. Okay, so a couple of things I want to do now is I want to transform this guy here. Okay, he's just too big. So what I can do is I've got it selected. I know it's selected because over here in my layers, okay, it's got that gray highlight, and I can turn the eye on and off, so I know it's the right one. Then go up to Edit, and let's go to Transform, and let's go to this one that's called Scale. This one you're going to use really often. Okay, Edit, Transform, and Scale. And what I'd like to do is, now depending on your screen, you might have to zoom out, okay, especially if it's a really big image. So we're going to learn one of our first shortcuts, okay, for navigation. We'll learn a couple in this course. Okay, and the really common one is if you're on a Mac, hold down the Command key and tap the minus on your keyboard. It's kind of up the top there near your numbers. You'll see that it zooms out. If you're on a PC, hold down the Control key and tap the minus. Okay, so minus zooms out, and plus zooms in. So give a practice with that. Hold down Command on a Mac, Control on a PC, and just tap plus to zoom in, minus to zoom out. So minusing is going to allow us to see the edges of this transform box we've got here when we're scaling. Now what we're going to do now is you can move it around by clicking the center. Avoid this little crosshairs in the middle. It's just the center of rotations. It's not something we want to mess with for the moment. So anywhere inside of here moves it around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of like line it up. Photoshop has a really cool tool that's on by default. It's called Smart Guides, and it just says, hey, did you mean lining up with this guy? And you're like, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. If yours isn't kind of snapping to the edges like mine, go into View and just check that under Show. Down here, you've got a tick next to Smart Guides. That'll just make sure that's on. Okay, so what I want to do now is resize it. I'm going to grab this bottom corner, just drag it. And what you'll notice is that if I just drag it, it's going to potentially distort it. You could drag it and kind of hopefully get it there. But a nice little trick is while you're dragging it, okay, before you let go, is hold down the Shift key. All right, I'm just going to pause the video here real quickly to explain one small update that's happened in the latest version of Photoshop. So even though I just said in this very video, hold down the Shift key while you're resizing, Photoshop has gone and changed that. So you do not have to hold down the Shift key anymore. It's a small change and it's actually easier for you because you don't have to remember that Shift shortcut. But you should take a note of this, write it down. Whenever Dan says hold Shift while resizing, don't do that anymore. So there's a couple of times throughout this course, not many, that I'll say hold Shift while you're resizing, but you know better now. Don't hold Shift, don't do anything. Just drag the edges and it will resize fine. So that's it, let's get started back in the tutorial. Okay, so if yours has all gone a bit wrong, let's hit Escape on your keyboard. That's the I didn't mean it button. Okay, hit Escape, let's go Edit, Transform, go to Scale. Now, when I'm dragging this corner here, hold down the Shift key. So down on your keyboard, hold Shift, grab the corner. And what you'll notice is it locks the height and width. Now we're not looking for perfection here, just get it kind of close to these other ones. We'll look at doing it perfectly later on, but get it kind of close to the right size. And last thing you need to do when you're using scale is that you need to hit the Enter key on your keyboard. Otherwise, it's kind of halfway through something. See all these dots on the side? It means, hey, I'm busy doing scaling now, you can't do anything else. Because if you go up to your panels along the top here, you see they're all grayed out. It just means you can't do anything until you hit Enter or Return. All right, so let's zoom in. You know what the shortcut is now. Remember, it is Command plus on a Mac or Control plus on a PC. And I want you to go in nice and tight because I want to show you one more shortcut before we go. And that is kind of moving around once you're in this sort of kind of really close. You have to be zoomed right in so that the image goes off the edges. And say I want to go over here to the right. Okay, you can use these little sliders. Okay, this is the caveman way. If you feel like you want to be caveman, you can just drag these little scrubbing things up and down and that totally works. Because you might feel a little overloaded with shortcuts already. So, but if you aren't, I'm going to give you one of the really common navigation shortcuts is that you just need to hold down the spacebar key. So spacebar on your keyboard, you can see my little cursor changes from that little move tool to the little hand, and then just click, hold the mouse and kind of drag it across. Okay, that's going to be it for the basic navigation for Photoshop. We're obviously going to build on these skills later on. So if you feel like, man, I didn't get every single one of those, don't worry, we'll cover them again and again as we move through the course. So just to recap, whenever you need to move one image to another, okay, click on it, grab the move tool, click, hold, drag, wait, drag it down, let go. You often need to resize, okay, and it's under Edit, Transform, Scale. But to make sure the height and width doesn't get all distorted, you hold down, which key was it? It's a test. Say it in your head. Yeah, it's Shift. Okay, Shift just means that the height and width won't get distorted. And remember, when you're finished, you've got to hit the Return key, otherwise life doesn't work. The couple other shortcuts that I jumped to there was the zooming in and out, which is Command plus and minus on a Mac or Control plus and minus on a PC. And holding down the spacebar allows you to click, hold, and drag and move around. All right, that is going to be it for this video. We're going to get into doing some actual photoshopping in the next video, I promise. So, yep, let's finish it there. I will see you in the next one.